The voices between the headlines. For nearly 15 years, Rachel Morgan chased breaking news, political scandals, celebrity interviews, natural disasters, corporate fraud. Every morning began with the same question from her editor: "What's leading today?" Every evening ended with another: "What's next?" Rachel had won awards, appeared on television, her articles reached millions. Yet every night she went home feeling as though she'd spent another day describing the world without ever truly seeing it. Everything changed on a rainy Tuesday. Rachel was driving to cover a press conference when she noticed an elderly crossing guard helping children safely across the street. He greeted every child by name. One little girl handed him a crayon drawing, another gave him a hug. Parents smiled as they passed. Rachel glanced at the clock. She was already late. Still, she parked the car. "Can I ask you something?" she said. The man smiled. "No one's ever wanted to interview a crossing guard before." Rachel laughed. "I don't want to know about traffic. I want to know about you." His name was Walter Simmons. For 32 years, he had stood on the same corner. He knew when children were struggling before their teachers did. He quietly bought winter gloves for families who couldn't afford them. He attended graduations, funerals, weddings. Thousands of children had crossed his intersection. Most still stopped to hug him decades later. Rachel never made it to the press conference. She wrote Walter's story instead. Her editor frowned. "This isn't news." Rachel nodded. "I know. But maybe it should be." Reluctantly, he agreed to publish it online. They expected a few thousand readers. Instead, 27 million people read it in 4 days. The comments flooded in. "This reminds me of the bus driver who believed in me. Please interview the janitor at my school. There are heroes everywhere if someone would just ask their names." Rachel proposed a new series. Her editor looked skeptical. "What's it called?" She smiled. "The Voices Between the Headlines." Every week she interviewed someone whose story would normally go unnoticed: a librarian who secretly mailed books to homebound readers, a mechanic who repaired single parents' cars for free every Christmas, a cafeteria worker who memorizes every student's favorite meal, a retired nurse who knitted blankets for premature babies, a sanitation worker who quietly returned lost wedding rings and family heirlooms found in the trash. None considered themselves extraordinary. Rachel disagreed. The stories spread around the world. Newspapers translated them into dozens of languages. Teachers shared them in classrooms. Families discussed them around dinner tables. Television stations in other countries created their own versions. Soon, ordinary people everywhere were telling the stories of the unnoticed heroes in their own communities: a fisherman in Norway, a street sweeper in Brazil, a librarian in Kenya, a baker in Japan, a train conductor in India. Millions discovered that extraordinary lives rarely demanded extraordinary titles. One afternoon, Rachel received an email from a 12-year-old boy. It read, "My dad cleans office buildings at night. I used to be embarrassed because everyone else's parents had important jobs. Then I read your stories. Now I know my dad helps people every day. Thank you for helping me see him." Rachel quietly wiped away tears. 3 years later, Rachel accepted an International Journalism Award. Standing before an audience of reporters from around the world, she looked at the gleaming trophy in her hands. "I don't deserve this." The audience laughed politely. She continued, "The people I interviewed do. They reminded me that journalism isn't only about telling us what's happening. It's also about reminding us who we are." The room fell silent. When Rachel retired years later, thousands attended her farewell celebration. People expected politicians, celebrities, media executives. Instead, the front row was filled with the people she'd interviewed over the years: Walter the crossing guard, Maria the cafeteria worker, Samuel the mechanic, Mrs. Alvarez the librarian, nurses, custodians, teachers, bus drivers, farmers, volunteers, the people who quietly held their communities together. Rachel looked at them and smiled. "You were never ordinary. You were simply overlooked." The crowd rose to its feet. Today, journalism schools around the world still teach Rachel Morgan's work, not because she uncovered the biggest scandal or broke the fastest story, but because she asked one simple question that changed how millions viewed the people around them. She would sit across from a stranger, turn on her recorder, smile warmly, and ask, "Tell me about the part of your life no one has ever thought to ask about." Again and again, those overlooked voices reminded the world of a timeless truth. Headlines may tell us what happened today, but the quiet stories of ordinary people reveal who we have always been. And sometimes, the most important person in town is the one whose name has never appeared in the news, until someone cared enough to listen. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you.